So you had a great podcast interview. You finally got onto somebody's podcast and you killed the interview. It was awesome. The thing is, it's done now. How are you going to make sure you get the absolute best out of this opportunity? Are you going to depend on the podcast host to change your life? Because I promise you, if that's what you're hoping for from this podcast interview, it's not going to happen unless you make it happen. So I want to show you what you need to do now the dust has settled, the afterglow has faded. You want to make sure you get the best out of this opportunity. Now, in an ideal world, you're watching this video before you actually record the interview. Wouldn't that be amazing? Let's pretend you are for a moment. And here's a couple of things I want you to do. So the podcast promotion process has 3 stages. There's before, during, and after. So let's just assume you haven't had the interview yet, even though you probably have. If you've looked up this video, it's because you want to know what to do next. Well, let's pretend that you're prepared for next time. So before the interview, promote that it's going to happen. Let this host know you're going to be a promoter, because that will color everything that follows. So post in your story that you're about to have this interview. Share on social media how excited you are and set the tone for everything that's to come. Because trust me, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that a guest podcast show host, that a podcast host likes more. There is nothing that a podcast host likes more than a guest who shares, and a guest who overshares, you will be their best friend. And there's a good reason you want that to happen, because podcast hosts share, and if you do a great job for one podcaster, they will pass you to somebody else as, my God, you have to have this person on. They're a great promoter, because that's actually one of the most important things for them. So now on the day of the show, you've recorded your interview, you killed it, you nailed it, you were fabulous. What are you going to do next? Well, the first thing I want you to do is share how excited you were to have the interview. So again, post on social media. This host was amazing, so generous, sounded so fantastic, he's so intelligent, all the rest of it, or she. Post about the interview on social media, to your email list. Again, really set the tone for this host that you are somebody who will go above and beyond. Then go and do a review of the podcast for the host. That will 100% get their attention. Most podcasts don't get a lot of ratings and reviews, so take the time to support the show that's just supported you, and you will stand out. That alone, you will stand out to a host, because it's rare, trust me, and it's tangibly valuable. Ask the host for a short testimonial about how you were as a guest, because if you want to go on subsequent podcasts with other hosts, there's nothing that will ease your journey better than a visible testimonial from another host. So while you're in this honeymoon afterglow period, ask for that testimonial. And next, for bonus points, create a full piece of content about this interview. Almost turn it all completely backwards and tell the host, write a piece of content, perhaps a YouTube video, perhaps a blog post, perhaps a very long social media post, telling the world all about that experience in some detail. Not simply, hey, I was on a podcast, it was good fun, but I was on a podcast and these are 3 questions that really blew me away, and here's how we dealt with them. Make it a solid core piece of content that's there for a long time. That's a huge value add for a podcaster, and it's, again, very rare. You will stand out. So next comes when the show airs. This is the big day. This is probably the point when the host will start some promotion. They'll probably post on social media, may include it to their list. So be ready for that. Some hosts will tell you before the shows come out, some won't, but be prepared that when that show drops, you're ready to jump on the social media. So share it with your social, but also make sure you comment on whatever the host posts, and make sure you let the world know this is your guy. This podcaster is the one that everyone should pay attention to, because again, this matters to the podcaster. They put in a lot of work to their shows, and you want to reciprocate that. because at the end of the day, you want podcasters out batting for you. You want more opportunities to appear. So the people who are most likely to be able to make that happen for you are the podcasters you know. So be their favorite. Now here's a bonus point for you. You spent 20 minutes, 25 minutes, an hour speaking to this person, and this is probably a person of influence. Relationships fade over time. So what I would recommend is that you schedule a post maybe once a month to promote this podcast and this podcaster and this podcast interview with your own audience. And you tag that host in order that the great relationship and the great rapport that you established today continues over time, that you stay fresh in the mind of that podcaster so that as they come across opportunities for greater visibility for you, you're at the front of the queue of the people they recommend. This is how you will get long-term value out of the podcasts that you appear on, above and beyond the visibility in the moment. You want to grow your audience, you want to grow your network, you want to grow your visibility. So if you can grow the network of podcasters who are out batting for you, it really makes sense. So don't just think about the podcast in the moment or on the day or in the short period after the show, but think, how can you get long-term value out of this appearance? And regularly scheduling a social media post on a once a month, even quarterly, will ensure that you stay top of mind with that podcaster. But nothing happens by accident. So you need to make sure that you do reap the rewards of all this work you've just done. Because trust me, if you've done all this work, you are going to stand out as a star podcast guest. You're going to be in a category of 1% of podcast guests if you actually do the things that I'm telling you to do here. In 200 interviews I've done, I can count on one hand the number of times anybody's put in anything like this kind of effort. So what I would suggest is you ask for a LinkedIn recommendation and you give a LinkedIn recommendation. These are very valuable, and again, they're very rare. And then ask the podcast host, once the dust has settled, you know what, I really enjoyed being on your show. Being on podcasts, opportunities to show up at virtual summits as guest speakers and offer guest spots in other people's communities, these are central to my mission of helping people make an impact in whatever it is you do. So, is there anyone that you can recommend me to as a potential guest? I would find this so valuable. And if you've done all the work that I've suggested, I guarantee the answer will be yes. These people will go out to find these opportunities for you. They might do it anyway, but if you ask, I promise you, you will see results. So I hope you found that useful. If there's anything I've missed in what you love to do to follow up as being a podcast guest, I'd love to know in the comments. If you're a podcaster, what are the things that have lit you up when guests have done something for you? I would again love to know. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do subscribe. You will find a link down there and you hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell, and that way YouTube will notify you every time I create new content. And yeah, while you're down there, give it a thumbs up because that makes me smile. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.